are live.
Live. Wow.
Top of the morning to you. No
We're gonna
introduction. Straight to it.
straight to it.
We have an Gary, Chris, AC, the first one's in.
Uh-huh.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are
How
you?
goes? I am pressing on, calling. It's in Philippians. I should have this memorized. I press on toward the prize. I call it prize. I should look it up.
I press out for the prize at the upward call of Christ or something like that.
Yeah. You got
Forgetting
it.
what
Something like
forgetting
that.
what lies
Yeah.
behind and reaching for what lies ahead. Yeah.
That was an early, when I became a Christian, that was an early verse that really spoke to me, really ministered to me. I guess because the way I'm designed as a, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something important, right? It's just in me. Like I'm supposed to be doing something important. And when I came across that verse, it's like, oh, okay, that speaks to me in that notion, pressing on toward a high calling, and then nearby also in that same book of Philippians, it's Paul putting everything in perspective. For me to live as Christ, to die as gain. It's like, okay, so nothing matters more, right? Dying is actually gain. And so anything that's worth pursuing is worth dying for. Right. So it just helped me in my initial understanding of what I was getting into as a Christian. It's like, this is an all-in thing, and as it should be. No hedging your bets. It's all or nothing, and it's freeing. That's the irony, right? He takes your burden, right? The pressure is off. It's all on him, and we just get to serve him. It's a pleasure and a privilege. All right, Joel.
Yes, sir.
What's going on in your life? Well, I know you may have some questions for me. I want to just update. There's always updates to do. But,
right. Well, you excuse me if I look a little bug-eyed. I just had my exam this morning, but that's why I said I might be late, but I wasn't. So, yeah, things are moving ahead down here in the other city, third city maybe in California. So, yeah, enjoying the summer.
My last child in high school is now a senior, and just like today's day 3. Just yesterday, she was this little thing. All right.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Gary. I wasn't fishing for a compliment, but she gave me one anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Aw. All right. Let's see. So I sent you a link to, I don't know if you got my text. I don't know if downloading new apps is a thing.
Not my thing.
Yeah. And that's fine.
I don't have a lot of apps on my phone.
Yeah.
I'm a social outcast, but I just don't really want this thing running my life. Yeah. And it's getting harder and harder to get away from it. So, but and really that's the topic of, this is a topic all of itself in and of itself. We went to a baseball game, the Padres, and there's no cash. Your ticket is on your phone. They will not let you in if you have a paper ticket. It's got to be in your phone. The idea that anyone could be without their phone is completely foreign these days. It's not even thought of. You will have your phone and you will do everything through your phone. How did we get here? How did we get here, Mike?
Yeah, and you're talking about Padres. Our high school athletics, sports, when you want to go to a football game.
No.
Yes. Like, I'm with you on this. Like, I showed up, and this is 2 years ago it started. 2 years ago, I show up at the football game, and I have my phone, and I have cash in my pocket, and every year before that, I could walk up to the ticket booth and say, here you go. Here's some cash. Here's my ticket. And like, no, you have to scan the QR code that's over here on this paper, and you have to buy it that way, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, and I legitimately tried. I'm like, it's not scanning, nothing's coming up. Right here, I'm trying. It's not. I have cash here, and the people in the ticket booth were like, here. I got a little change here, but like they would do it, and
Right.
like from that point on, I made a point not to. I'm like, my phone doesn't work. And there was some people that were like sticklers and like, nope, you can't get in unless you do it on your phone. And there was somebody else buying a ticket and like, here, I've got an extra ticket. Here you go. It was so
Here you go. How?
they had purchased tickets online and had an extra or something,
Extra
right?
what? Do they shoot it from their phone to your phone?
Well, this is you can't have a physical ticket unless you've paid for it online, right? So, I know you're talking about no
Oh,
physical ticket at
no
all,
physical. Oh, so they
right?
actually handed you a physical ticket.
Right. You
Okay.
can't, this is the purchase process of getting it. You can't buy a ticket unless you do it on your phone. And it was like,
Right.
I know we're trying to be with the times and up in technological. It's like, you can't get rid of cash, please. You
Well,
cannot get rid of cash.
well, when that happens, I was talking to our daughter the other day. She goes, I don't carry cash. Everything, and I'm like, that's too bad. You guys they're not going to miss it in a sense. It's normal to them. But once cash goes away, I'm trying to tell them, once cash goes away, liberty goes away.
Right.
Your freedom
ability,
and
control.
that's what the founding was really based on: economic freedom. Freedom to do business, and that's how we interact, is monetarily mostly. And that's what the Stamp Act and all that, that's what England was trying to monitor. And like, no, that equals liberty. I think we talked about it last week. The biggest issue in the Bible, biggest social issue in the Bible is money. Stewardship.
Yep.
So it's going to be a dark day when cash goes away. Very dark day.
On the other the other extreme, there's our favorite kind of boutique ice cream shop locally here. Forever cash only. Cash only. I mean, this is a historic place. Like, it's been around not 100 years, but a pretty long time. And it was like, my wife would always remind me, make sure you have cash on you. And I think it was only caught one time, like without cash, but they've recently have started taking credit cards. But like, I think that they're with us, right? Cash is our preferred means of transaction. That's, so.
Well, and I'm sure living in Southern California, other parts of the country probably won't know this, but once cash goes away, the economy of Southern California will crash because there's the Hispanic population here deals in cash.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's it.
They
don't trust this. They're smarter than we are. They don't trust this.
Yeah.
They trust cash.
It's the only way you can avoid paying taxes. So.
Well, yeah, or know that what you're getting is worthwhile. It's worth something. So,
all right, enough ranting. We're ranting.
Oh,
but it's on topic. So the app, and just a little background why I sent you the link to the app is because my chief of staff, Christine, right? So she's a high functioning individual, and she's bringing a lot of importance, a lot of important skill sets to the project. She's like, all right, this is the most secure app right now for our internal communications. This is how we should do it. I'm like, okay. And it's nice to have someone giving me orders, right? It's one thing for me. I'm the driving force of the project, obviously, but I don't have all the skill sets necessary for the project to succeed. And so I have people coming along that have those skill sets. So that's just, if you want to get the internal updates, I'm going to be posting them there to that apps. And but you and I have a more regular communication than a lot of the other people involved with the project. So I'll just give you a few updates. Kathy, who from down in the San Diego area.
Your San Diego Angel, yes.
My angel in San Diego. She has an annual charity fundraiser every year. It's a charity fundraising fashion show. And so there's fashion designers that collaborate with her, and then they recruit the models. And the models are not, professional models. It's some, I think some students or something like that. So, but it's a well-attended, and they do raise a bunch of money. And the charity that they raise for is Kathy's. I forget what the name of it is, but it's and I'll get that. I'll get that name and I'll mention it here as it approaches. September 14th is the day of that event, and the charity is human trafficking. It is to stop human trafficking. One of those, and for me, that's the cause closest to my heart, right? That and the massacre of the innocent in the womb, right? Those are the two, the most innocent among us being treated the most in the most horrific ways. That's, I believe is the nearest to God's heart, right? Better that a millstone be tied around your neck than someone would harm one of these little ones. So,
right.
So it's an honor like that. She's invited me to be a featured guest, and not because of the project, but because of my career, right? Emmy-winning TV guy, right? But obviously the real purpose is to get me out there, to get my face and my name and who I am more widely known. And that's why she's invited me. And she's going to be introducing me to a bunch of her well-connected people at that and through that. So that's the next big thing on the calendar. I don't know. There's a link to it and everything, and I'll get that out as well. And I think there's a fee to attend and things like that, or anybody that wants to buy a table to sponsor a table at the event, like going to the charity, etc. So that's a big thing on the calendar coming up.
Where will that be?
Down in San Diego somewhere.
Oh, down this way. Okay.
Yeah. It's her stomping ground, and it's not all Armenians, right? This is across the board, right? This is one of the things that she's been doing that is that transcends her particular cultural niche, and that's perfectly in line with my vision. I'm the person that sees the story, the Armenian story, but am the one who is bringing it out to the rest of the populace, right? So,
right.
It's an honor to be the
Good for you.
spokesperson for this important story and the culture. And then a couple of the little things this past week. So we're ramping up, getting our social media accounts in order. Christine has created a Facebook page. It's not active yet. I'm not going to start sending people there, but Facebook page is going to be kind of the foundation location for social media, where we'll be posting stuff regularly. And then via, I guess Facebook owns Instagram, and so we'll have the Instagram accounts are already being set up. And then this is stuff that I don't have time for, but there are team members that are going to be committed to managing the social media. So that's a huge relief to me. It's like, I've always known that we need to have a greater social media presence, but all I really have time for is YouTube, right? And to have this infrastructure that we're building here, this network of people. In fact, that reminds me, I have the wrong branding up here. It says the Bible every morning in the corner. I have to change that to, drum roll please, 3, 2, 1. This way. Network. So that is happening. And I just also want to point out that some of the people involved with the project are on the other side of the aisle, right? And I don't just mean politically, but like atheists. Like, there are people that, I'm an atheist, and they know full well that I'm a Christian, and that this is a God thing, right? This is something God is doing. And they believe in the cause so much that they are like, okay, that's fine with me, whatever, but I want to help. Right. And that is such a joy that this is not a divisive. I mean, it's certainly a divisive subject matter, but only divisive to those who are trying to perpetuate the lie. anybody else, like atheist, secular, even some Muslim friends of mine, and anybody that recognize what I'm doing, and like, oh yeah, this is a good thing. This needs to happen. And why did I bring that up? I was going on a tangent and I forgot. So another person who is new to the project, but not new in my sphere, a friend of mine that I've known for probably 15 years, 14 years, former boss of mine, a showrunner, a TV producer and writer, friend of mine, reached out to me a little over a month ago in need. He reached out to me in need because he hasn't been working for a while. A show that he worked on is supposed to get renewed, and he's gone through some financial issues, and so he reached out in need. And so by doing so, he came back into my sphere, and it was like one of those moments where it's like, this guy's in need and I am also in need, but I'm not as in need as he is, and we are called to give sacrificially. And it was just one of those things like, why is this happening right now? It seems like the worst time for somebody to come to me. And I prayed about it, and I felt like I was supposed to give. And then I said, well, it'll confirm with my wife. And I prayed, and when my wife came home, I talked to her about it, and she said some things that I was thinking like, okay, that's confirmation. So all of that, long story short, I sat down with him. This was about a month ago, we're good friends. He invited me into a writer's group. We used to meet once a week, etc. So we sat down at our old stomping ground, and at the, he was moved, and he was, blessed. And this is an atheist guy. And then he says, well, if you need any writing done, I'm available. I'm unemployed right now. And if you need any writing, so I connected him to Stephen Lawrence, and Stephen Lawrence gave him 3 assignments. It's like, we need 3 articles right now. And so he's already written one of these articles, and he's doing research on one of the other articles. So he's writing about me and the project, right? This is a guy who's a writer. Rather than me doing all the work and trying to write everything, I've got too many irons in the fire and too many balls in the air. This guy is dedicated to writing. And so I met with him again yesterday. I'm like, all right, dude, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start putting out a weekly article, right? A column. And we're going to use that. We're going to be posting it. We're going to post it on the website. We're going to be posting it on social media. And then we're going to pilfer your words and create memes and put them out on the different social media things and start ramping that up and putting links to everything. And it's just like, that's a huge, having a dedicated writer is one of the biggest, gaping holes that we had, right? Like, I'm a writer by nature and I love writing, but I got so many other things that I'm doing, producing and networking and keeping keeping the thing moving in the right direction. But he is like coming in as an atheist, but knowing me, and I can tell he's already like being moved. Like he even almost cried in my presence yesterday. And it's like, I'm so, the timing of him reaching out to me, first of all, for him to have to humble himself so much to the point of asking me for money means that's how he sees me, right? That he sees me as a friend that he would reach out to, right? And it was like, that's from God, right? That's God bringing this skeptic into the sphere of something that's happening. And so we're going to co-write a weekly column, and then he's going to probably independently write a separate column from his own point of view, observing what's going on. So those are the quick updates of the last few days in meetings. So it's these pieces keep getting added, and the social media presence is going to increase. And finally, if you have any questions, the business plan is in process, right? And it's like, I've been saying that. Christine, there's another delay for about a week. Christine is preoccupied with something, and she's kind of helping me manage that. But within the next several weeks. We're going to have a good outline and some of the pitch meetings, because I have people waiting on me, people waiting. And it's like, it's weird to have people with money waiting. It's like,
You don't want to keep people with money waiting.
well, you don't want to keep them waiting, but you also don't want to go to them unprepared.
Unprepared.
Right. It's so that's that.
Either way, you don't want to waste their time. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. And one of the guys, actually I talked to yesterday, but he had said, he goes, make sure when you're ready, I'm going to introduce you to this guy. He has a 60-second attention span, but I've already talked to you enough. He says, I've already talked to you enough that you'll be able to grab his attention. And it's an Armenian guy with money, but he's like, make sure you have it polished before. And like, okay, that's my marker out there, right? That, I mean, there's other people I need to meet with, but him saying that, it was very straightforward. It's like, this is important what you're doing. I've got a guy that I'm convinced is going to be interested. Just make sure you have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted. So I am always saying it. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Just because it hasn't happened yet, it doesn't mean it's not coming.
No, it doesn't. You're right. And that will be the linchpin anyways. That will be the funding. Nothing happens without funding. Yep. Nothing happens without, the dollar sign. So, you got to do, that's why I've told you several times before, well, if you're working on that, if you're going before people with money with the business plan, and that's something you need to work on, stop wasting time talking to me. Go.
Right. Go. Right. And that's where Christine's and this guy, the writer guy, Jeff, they're both high functioning professionals. And that's exactly what both of them said. They're like, my goal is to free you up so that you can focus on the most important things. And I'm like, oh, these are the right people, right? These are the right people that need to be surrounding me and taking the burden. Like, I don't have time to set up social media accounts and to get into social media. That'll eat up your whole life. But they understand, Christine's like, this is important. She set up the Facebook. So I created a complete new Facebook account out of nothing with a whole new email address and everything. I'm like, I know that's how you do it. I just don't have the bandwidth to do it. She did it within 20 minutes.
This is the thing, as you go further into life, you've got to know what you're good at and do what you're good at. And you are good at the presentation. You're like Oscar Schindler. I'm good at the presentation, right? You're also good at the work, but he always said presentation. And that was key. And that's how he got his 2 steamer trunks full of money, right? Yeah. So no, that's good. That's the kind of team we talked about, team building a while ago, or maybe Ben and I did. I don't know if you were on that one. We talk about how to build a team, and that's what you do. You are in the position of enabling people to do what they do best, so you can do what you do best, and that's the key to leadership.
Yeah,
one of the keys to leadership.
And it's a pleasure, a joy, and a lot of work. And it's fun.
And you've got to check your ego. You got to check your tendency to want it the way you want it. A lot of people will delegate, this, probably from your Hollywood, you're not dealing with any egos there, are you, in Hollywood? No, of course not.
The micromanagers are abundant. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can't work with them. So,
and that is a crazy thing. Like some of the people, some names that you would rattle off names that you recognize, and they're the types that they're so talented and so creative, and that everybody gathers to them, yet they're harsh taskmasters, and they're insecure and can't trust others. And so that's kind of a self-defeating, right? Yeah, they're very creative and very artistic, but they have these blind spots they don't know are blind spots, and they can be their worst enemies by not. And so it is a dance that you have to do, like things. And the opposite has been true of me at times, where I've tried to delegate some things that, after trying to delegate it to 2 separate people, I realized, oh, this thing that I'm delegating is actually essentially a piece of art that I have to create myself. Right. It's like, it's not just this thing. I have to do it because I can explain it to them, and they can come up with a version of it, but their version of it's never going to be the vision I have for the thing. So, it goes both ways sometimes. And so it is an art and a skill that I'm learning to delegate. And let me give you another update. And this is something that you are personally I would say, personally responsible for and involved in. So we had this event last Thursday, and there was a guy that showed up, and he came. I don't know if he's from down there. I don't think he came from down there, but he came up to me and goes, "My friend Greg invited me to this thing," and it was a guy named Greg that we met on in San Diego at St. Sarkis. This old guy is like 89 years old.
Yes.
Yes. So he goes, that he invited me to this thing. He told me about this thing, and he's one of my best friends, and he told me about this. And now that I met you and see what you're doing, we've got to get this thing done. We've got to raise money. And he goes, I'm the second in command of this group, the Knights of Vartan. I don't know if I've mentioned Knights of Vartan.
You have.
So this guy, second in command of the nationwide group Knights of Vartan, came to our event on Thursday and came up to me and it's like, and I'm like, all right, I should be doing a tour among the Knights of Vartan meet once a month, and I should, and he's like, yes, let's meet up. And he was also connected to another person that I had invited to the event on Thursday. And so, this network keeps growing. It's like behind the scenes. That's why we do these updates. It's like, I can't, there's no way for you to know everything that's going on, but I can, there's different connections continue to be made as we press forward toward the prize. Wait, let me look that up. Vamp, or ask me a question while I'm looking up that Bible verse.
That verse, yeah. So, no, it's you're right where you need to be to make it happen, but you're also undercover.
Yeah,
where you are, which is an interesting dynamic. It's kind of an interesting dance you're doing.
I am learning to sidestep and sashay the dance that I'm doing. Yes.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee is what you got to do. Yes. You know who that
is? Cassius Clay, right?
Yes. Otherwise known as
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Probably people don't know Cassius Clay. We're a
little older. Know. You said you knew who that is. I figured I do. All right, hold on. I don't use Google anymore, but I'm using a different search. Why isn't? Oh, there it is. Philippians 3:14. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. Actually, let me read the whole thing, the whole context here. Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. Let us therefore, as many as be perfect, be thus minded, and if in anything ye be otherwise minded, God shall... I should use a different version.
Yeah, what version is that? Is that
that was the King James?
King James, yeah. Not what I memorized it in, so I can't say it along with you.
That's like it's suddenly not familiar to me. Let's do English Standard Version. Well, this whole chapter is great because I love how Paul is listing his resume. Right? It's like, I am circumcised on the 8th day.
Pharisee of Pharisees, yeah.
Of the stock of Israel, tribe of Benjamin, which is where David, the great king, came from, and Hebrew of Hebrews, as far as the law, a Pharisee, right? Pharisees weren't bad. Some of them went bad, but Pharisees were... Jesus said, obey the Pharisees. He actually said, obey what they teach, just don't follow their actions, right? Pharisees were the most stringent believers in the law. Concerning zeal, persecuting the church, touching the righteousness which is in the law, blameless. But the things that were gained to me, and this is what really spoke to me as a young Christian, the things that were gained to me, those I counted loss for Christ. In other words, that hubris, that confidence in yourself, it's like, you didn't do that yourself. God gave it to you, right? The things that I considered gained, my own righteousness, my self-righteousness, those are all lost compared to the surpassing greatness of knowing Christ. In fact, let me finish this. We've got a couple seconds. Yea, doubtless, I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Christ Jesus, my Lord, for whom I had suffered all the loss of all things, and do count them but dung, that I may win Christ. We're out of time, but this is
out of time.
God is at work, my friend.
He is.
God is in
Good thing too, because we'd mess it up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But
But I'll finish with this phrase from Doug Wilson. He says, God draws straight with crooked lines. Right?
straight lines with crooked sticks.
No, he draws straight with crooked lines.
Oh, okay.
Right? Our lives crooked. We make
Right.
mistakes and fail, but God is using us in spite of all that. And that's how he draws glory, right? It's like, it has to be God because of my failures.
Right. My pastor used to say, God makes straight lines with crooked sticks. In other words, he uses us,
Yep,
broken, bent people to make his straight lines. Works either way.
Hallelujah. Thank God for his grace. Love you, brother.
Love you too. See you
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Thanks.